So some seek first to understand phrases would be, so you are saying that, as I get it, you feel, if I understand you correctly, you think, you feel dash about dash. When you make a statement like that, doesn't mean that you are owning it to such an extent that you are going to execute it. It's like giving the other person feeling that you have understood whatever is happening. Third is having synergy. There is a roadblock with the parents that you see things one way and your parents see it another way. So you want more independence and they want more control. Then it seems as though it's either your way or their way. And that becomes a big problem over there. So we have to see what we can actually do about it at that time, because it's like a very tough decision. What we have to do is think that there is a third way as well. And we need to stick to that third way. Always think about what the win is, not only for you, but also for your parents. And for that, what you do is, I'm giving you a list of things that you do. So this is how you resolve the challenges with your parents. First of all, what you have to do is you have to define the problem or the opportunity that is there. You have to be very specific, honest, and respectful. Like, this is what I want. You can't bring in the baggage from the past, then the emotional blackmail of you don't trust me, and then, the future anxieties and, the troubleshoots. You just have to ask your parents, this is what I plan to do in the moment. This is like my honest thing that I feel. Then you have to be very, very respectful towards your parent. Second thing that you do is you have to understand their way. Seek first to understand the ideas of your parents, others. And for that, you take time to really understand their point of view before you open your mouth. You have to understand why my parent doesn't want me to do a certain thing. So we should think very rationally and also see from the lens of our parents, because they would definitely guide us towards the best in most of the situations. Yes, sometimes they will make mistakes. These are the times, if you have a good relationship with them, no gap, win-win, seek first to understand, you will be able to put across your point of view and also involve them or engage them in healthy debate or healthy discussion, and also sometimes have a win at your end, but in a healthy manner. Once you understand their point of view, you tell them, then you give them my way. You seek to understand by sharing your ideas. And what you do is you repeat what they said in your words. This is very, very important, that whatever had been talked about, you repeat it properly. Next thing is you brainstorm. You create new options and ideas, and you talk through the differences without getting emotional. You have to be emotionally very strong when you are talking to them. It has to be very rational kind of discussion, in which obviously you have to see from the perspective of Quran and Sunnah, because we are Muslims. So our decision making can't be like any other friend that you have in the neighborhood, in the school, or in your social media community. Whatever decisions or ideologies they're giving you, your decision has to be foremost according to the principles which have been given to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Secondly, that you do is you have to listen to or learn and enrich yourself from the experiences of your parents. And then, yes, you also have your own say, and you are living in the current time. Your parents are not living in the current times as a youngster. So then you can also give them certain dimensions. You can discuss with them certain ideas and then bring forth to them different things that your point of view. And remember this thing, you always bring up the facts. Like, if you believe in doing a certain thing, you can Google, you can read some books, and if they tell you, yes, this is how something is done, you bring to them those facts. You don't say, Mera dil chahta hai, this is what I want to do, this is my life. No, you don't say that. If you have a certain idea, you want a certain career, you want to do a certain thing, then what you do is, you bring the facts to them. Like, okay, this is what the scholars say about it, this is what, the experts say about it, this is the future of whatever I'm trying to achieve. This is how my deen will be compromised, or deen would flourish with the decision that I'm going to take. And that's when you can have a win if you are talking facts. Because many times what the youngsters are doing is always talking about something that they're cooking up in their head, their own ideologies. and they want to enforce those ideologies on their parents. So that doesn't work that way. But if you bring facts and figures and then you want to make a point, your parents are definitely going to be more open-minded and they would listen to that. And then we say you go highway. That is, you find the best solution, which is going to be, again, as I said, win-win and with synergy for both of you. You explore all the options and then you pick up the best option and then you apply it. Once you are done with all this, because this is the key that you have to work on. Another thing that you have to do is you have to disarm your parents in one line or the less. That is very, very important, because what we do is we push button. There are some push button remarks by our parents, because I said so. I mean, we hate it when the parents say it, because there's times when we are desperate for a certain thing. We want our parents to do something and they're not listening to us. It just blows away our mind. Second is, you will do what I tell or else. When they start giving us penalties and we are like, they are so unfair, they're so rude. How could they make decisions like that for me? They basically have publicly picked up their swords and they have challenged us. So the worst thing we can do at that time is we engage in a battle. We are like, अब मैं भी ठीक है, जो आप कर रहे हैं, मैं भी ऐसे ही कुछ करूँगी. So what we can do at that time is we need to disarm our parents. How do you do that? Either you apologize and say, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. I didn't mean to say it this way. I think this is not the right time to talk about it. We can discuss it later on. Second is, you just bite your tongue and say nothing. This is what we call emotional exit. You just stay totally quiet and you keep telling yourself, if I want results, if I'm desperate for something, I have to wait for the right time, the right way. I have to let my parents disarm when they are without their ammunition and when all the defenses and guards are low. That's when I'm going to make my point. And that's what you bring in over here. Seek first to understand by repeating in your own words what they are saying and they are feeling. So you have to keep bringing that back. But there are two classic blunders that many kids do at that time. And you have to be very, very careful about that. The classic blunders to tick off parents and destroy the whole trust is when you may feel good for a moment, but you are going to pay for it later. One is when you want to have the last word. You have to resist the urge to open new can of worms. Second is when you say, I hate you. It is such a convenient phrase when we hurl at our parents, when we are mad or frustrated. We don't mean it, but we just say it. You know, a lot of mothers, they contact me and they say, I feel so bad and I don't feel like doing anything for my kid because they tell me they hate me. So I always tell them, if my kids tell me they hate me, I always look back at them and tell them, I love you. It basically disarms them. They don't know what to say, because if I'll say, get out, get lost, they would be saying more hurtful things to me. So we will be having a big battlefield situation. I'm not happy, my kids are not happy. So I have a smart word for this. I hate you, I always say I love you. When they want to have the last word, I just hold their hand or put my hand on their shoulder, look into their eyes and just smile, and I say, you know what, let's finish the conversation over here, because if we carry on like this, I might end up saying something you wouldn't like, you wouldn't approve of, then you wouldn't feel good about me. So I want you to have a good impression of me. I want to have a good relationship with you. So let's not talk about it. It is important that we as youngsters, that we don't say any of these. What you have to remember is, no matter what, you could hate them, you could stop talking to them, you could make plans for your life that let me be 18 and I can have my own license and I can live separately, and you could be living in a country where the law lets you take decisions on your own, but end of the day they will keep loving you. They are always going to be there for you, and despite all shortcomings, they love you and they want to have the best for you. And there is not a single person on the planet who would be doing this with you. Go to anyone, go to your best friend and give her the same attitude that you give to your parents. It could be your best buddy, it could be your spouse, it could be your fiance, later on your husband, it could be a love marriage that you had, and you keep telling that person, I hate you, keep telling that person, get out of my life, you have ruined me, or don't talk to that person, give them attitude, use them to your benefit, that person would never want to love you back after a while and would never want to have to do anything with you. It's only our parents. The way we abuse them, the way we talk to them, the kind of rudeness we show to them, despite all that, they want the best for us and they keep giving us all the privileges. And probably, that's what we understand, and that's why we keep misusing that relationship. So we need to build the bonds. How can we do that? There are a couple of things that you can do. Number one, if you really, really feel your relationship is going down, I would say take help. Go to a counselor and let counselor help you. Now, again, the tragedy that I've seen is I know many families who consult the counselors because the counselors are not going to take your side or your parents' side. The counselors are going to go by the facts, proven through research and studies. So if the teenager or the youngster is wrong, they would advise you. If the parent is wrong, they would advise the parent. Most of the time, it's the youngster who is not right. And obviously, the counselor or the therapist has to advise the youngster. So youngsters, how they feel even there is, since my parents are paying for this, so the counselor is taking sides with my parents. And my parents are taking me to this person because, they're speaking their language. Whereas the fact is, the counselors are there to help you bridge up that gap. The counselors can see that you're going through all those hormonal phases. You are still having immature thoughts. You are very young. Your parents are double the age. They're making all the effort. They still love you. They have more at stakes than you have. So they are trying to bridge up that gap. But yes, there are situations, as one of the member over here written, that what if the parents are making irrational decision? So then the counselor would help you and your parents again understand, make some right decision. Then there has to be a lot of love and forgiveness in this relationship, and don't follow into wrong footsteps. That's what I would say. Like, talking to your friends and constantly complaining about your parents. You need to see the aspects where your parents love you. You need to feel very proud of your parents. You need to be talking about them in a very, very dignified manner. Because all parents, as I said, make mistakes. They are human beings. They are not perfect beings. They are humans like us. Imagine yourself what kind of challenges you are going through in your life right now. And in a couple of years, you are going to be the parent. So imagine with your shortcomings. We all have shortcomings. Some of you are a procrastinator. So you will be a parent who is procrastinating. What would you do then? And your kids would see you procrastinating. Or some of you are stingy with money. Some of you are spendthrift. Some of you are hung on screens. So your kids will see you addicted to screens. There's so many challenges you have right now in your life. So if you're not able to fix it right now, what will you be doing when you're in your 40s and 50s with that? Because the experts say whatever habits we carry with us and we don't plan to bring them into the healthy formats, then those habits, they become so firm rooted that it becomes very difficult for us to disengage from them. So don't follow into the wrong footsteps with anyone. Just do love and forgiveness for yourself as well. If you were angry, you again made a wrong statement, koi baat nahi, it's okay, we all make mistakes. The parents make mistakes. As I said, nobody's perfect. So we must carry on love and forgiveness with us. Then you have to break this cycle in which you don't repeat the mess and negative cycles in your life. That is very, very important, because what we do is that we constantly make same mistakes. Like, I would give you this one formula which I started applying much later when I got married. Whenever I have to do a certain thing, I always ask myself, if I go to my husband and I take his permission, would he let me do it? If he would let me do it, then it's easy. I will discuss it with my husband because I'm pretty sure he would allow me. But if I know for sure my husband will not approve of a certain thing, then I will not even bring up that issue in front of my husband. I will in fact refuse the person. I will tell them, I'm so sorry, I won't be able to do it. So you break those cycles. Okay. So if you have a friend, and let's say this is an example, and your parents have always stopped you from meeting that friend, don't want you to go and visit that friend, and she keeps inviting you. So you have to learn to say no to your friend and tell her that my parents, since they're not comfortable, so I think it's not a good idea that we hang out. Simple. That's going to build big bonds with your parents, because if your parents would be thinking, I have very clearly explained to my daughter this is something which is not approved by me. Why does she keep coming back to me? Like when you dress up, your parents have given you a certain standard of what you can wear and what you can't wear, especially when you're going out. So you don't have to keep coming back to them with the same challenge, with the same fight, with the same issue. You need to look up at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, I know my mom will never approve of this dress, so why should I go to her? You have to remember that your number one influence has to be your parents. In fact, there are a lot of researches which has been done, and this is something that I always talk to parents about, because parents, when once you're young, get very insecure and they're like, my kids, they don't like me anymore, they want to spend more time with their friends, or they are constantly hanging out with their friends. So I tell them that what the research says is, yes, they are hanging out with their friend, but they keep looking up at their parents, they want to please their parents, and they want to be in the good books of their parents. And this is something you have to sort of make sure your parents understand, that yes, friends are important for me, but my dear mom and dad, you are equally or even more important to me. So love your parents. We are so busy growing up, we often forget they are growing old. Right now, when you have parents, put in your best in that relationship. Otherwise, once they're gone, they will go away. So don't live with those regrets. I would still bring back the same dua. Rabbi irhamhuma kama rabbayani saghira. After understanding everything, we need to make this dua that, oh Allah, please have mercy upon them as they brought me up when I was small. So all the merciful things that our parents do to us, despite our attitude, despite our shortcomings, we want to work on that relationship. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.